Hey, Book Dragons! It is your girl, Lindsay, from the Spine Bookshop. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Spine Bookcast, Chronicles of a Bookshop. This is episode 11 with author Rachel. See, I struggle too. Rachael Balke, author of the Leza of the Alpha line, which is a outstandingly gorgeous book cover. So, hi, Rachel. Welcome. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to have you. I've been looking forward to talking to you today. So let's get into it. How did you get into reading?
I've been reading for as long as I can remember, so I don't know exactly how old I was when I started, but I had the Hooked on Phonics cassette tapes. And
Nice.
I don't know if it was my parents who got that for me or a family member or how they came into my possession, but I was obsessed and I never stopped reading after that.
I love that you mentioned Hooked on Phonics because I did that too. And I even remember the commercial where they had the kid, Hooked on Phonics worked for me. And, I
Yes.
did that too. Only person I know that has mentioned that, but I love that because that was such a great way to get people to read who were struggling. Do you have a specific book for you that stands out as the clincher for you on, yep, reading is for me. I love this book so much.
For me, I think that it's gonna have to be the Redwall series by Brian Jakes.
Okay.
I am slowly trying to acquire all of them because it was quite a big number of books in the set. And he has other books that I haven't read that aren't Redwall related, but Redwall was about little animals. Like the main character was usually like a field mouse, but then they had
Uh-huh.
badgers and moles and sparrows, and they went on adventures, and it was a chapter book, but I
Oh,
was obsessed.
I love that. I love that so much. I think the first book for me that was like the biggest, like, oh my God, this is amazing. Honestly, I can't even remember. I've just loved reading for so long that anytime anybody gave me a book, it was all like, gimme, gimme, gimme. I just get it into my brain as fast as possible.
Yep. I also devoured like the Magic Treehouse books when I
Uh-huh.
was really little.
Sure.
And the series of Unfortunate Events too is up there. That's
Oh, I
actually
love those.
my
I
next
read,
tattoo. Will even me out, but I want Count Olaf's VFD tattoo above my
oh
ankle.
my
Like
gosh, me too. I want to get, if I ever get an ankle tattoo, it's going to be that. So,
yeah, I'm
yes.
excited.
Oh, I've read all of them and so they did the movie, which was okay. And then they did the TV show, which was absolutely brilliant. Neil Patrick Harris just did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I love Jim Carrey though, so I kind of wish they would have continued on. I can't remember why they stopped. I don't know if it was like a studio thing, but Neil Patrick Harris does a phenomenal job too, so it's not disappointing. It's just different.
No. Yeah, no, absolutely. So have they ever made the Redwall series into a TV show or movie or anything like that?
There was an animated series, like briefly.
Okay,
And I want to say, oh, it's been so long, but I want to say it was like a PBS situation. I could be wrong on that.
sure.
But and I don't think they made like very many seasons of it. It might just be one or
Okay,
possibly two. But
sure.
it's cute little animation which did the subject matter justice.
See, and I feel like the 80s and 90s had this whole thing with taking books and that involved animals and making them into little television shows and that kind of stuff. And I remember like Bunnicula. And then you have the brilliance of Watership Down, which is a brilliant novel, but when you're
Ah,
7 or you're watching animals attack, rabbits attack each other, or Animal
Yeah.
Farm. And it's such a weird thing to have such an adult subject, or such just this whole thing of taking animals and that's making them, into how do you say the word? Anthropomorphic?
Anthropomorphic. Yes.
Yes. Like my friend and I talk about Disney's Robin Hood. It's a fox.
Yes.
But somehow they made a fox really attractive. And I'm uncomfortable with how I feel.
I know. Robin Hood walked so Kovu could run.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. See, I'm so glad it's not just me. Okay. So yeah. So what are you reading now?
I am making my way through the Wheel of Time series.
I want to read
by
that.
Robert Jordan.
Sure.
It's my husband's favorite series, so I'm giving it a go, especially because, Amazon came out with the show, which
Sure.
before I started reading it, I thought it was an okay fantasy show. Then after I started reading it, I was like, oh no, they changed too much. This is crap.
I hate when they do that. Like I've said this on other podcasts before, I'm such a purist when it comes to books. And then they make them into movies, and it's just, I'm sorry, did you read the book? Like, I was talking with Dan yesterday, so he decided to start reading James Patterson, so he decided to read Kiss the Girls, which is an absolutely excellent Alex Cross novel. And but then you go watch the movie, and I remember when I went to go watch it with my mom, I kept having to ask her, is this a good movie? Because I don't remember this happening in the book. And so Dan and I had the same conversation today. He says, I liked the movie the first time I watched it, but now that I've read the book and I go back to watch the movie, I hate the movie. And like that drives me crazy when they do that.
When I was big in my Stephen King era, like there was a time in high school where that's all I read because he has written so many books. I would finish the book and then go try and watch the movie, and would end up turning the movie off after like 15 minutes. Like, nope, it's already wrong.
Right? My husband jokes that if we go and we watch a movie that's based on a book that I really like, we'll go watch the movie. And he kind of gives me this, all right. And he jokes that I'll be sitting there, and the minute he hears me go, ugh, in the movie, he knows that something has changed, and that he's going to hear about it when we leave. First of all, that's not what they looked like. Second of all, that is not how that happened in the book. Why did they change it? But then there are other things like Ready Player One, for example, is my one example where I completely get why they changed key points in the movie. Because watching someone play a game for 3 hours on screen would be boring and mind-numbing. Just, and that's what happens in the book. But the book seems to make it interesting, but translating that onto film would be agony. So for that, that's one of those times where I'm like, okay, I can see why you made that change. That I get, Right. Is there a series that you've read that hasn't been adapted yet that you would like to see adapted?
That is a harder question than it needs to be. I think it's hard because now as an adult, I don't have the same attachment to the series that I did have when I was reading it, but it was a House of Night series by PC Cast and Kristen Cast.
Yes, I have all of the books in this series.
Okay, so yeah, I devoured them in high school when they first came out, and then I did a reread not that long ago, and the themes are icky. I'm like, young girls should not be reading this. But I feel like I heard on the internet that they were maybe trying to do like a show about it, but then I never saw anything else. But that could be a good
Yeah, I have
TV
all of
show.
them as an adult, and I agree that there are definitely some ick factors. But it's one of those, like, I read them all, and I worked so hard to collect the whole series. I can't just get rid of. I can't just give the books up.
Oh yeah, no,
But
I still got a bunch. I don't think I have all of them. I know I read all of them, but I've got a bunch of them on my bookshelf because,
yeah,
like in high school, I ate them up. I was like, "This is the best thing ever," and then I did
yeah,
the reread. And spoiler alert for somebody who hasn't done, she gets with her teacher. That's not okay. She is a child,
yeah.
a teenager. That's gross.
It's
But when I was 16, I was like, no, that makes sense. And it shouldn't have made sense.
I mean, yeah, I'm right there with you. Have you ever read the Fallen series by Lauren Kate?
That sounds familiar, but it is not ringing any
Well,
bells.
so they did the movie, and I have never been so hyped about a movie coming out because I have read that series probably 5 times. I love that series. And then the movie got leaked, so it never actually got a theatrical release in the United States, which made me so mad. And so it finally came out, and I bought it, and I watched it, and I loved the movie, but it got panned so bad, and I hate that because it's such a good story. And there's rumors that they're making it into a TV show, which I think would actually be a better run for it. But it's about this girl and this boy who fall in love, and the minute they kiss, she dies, and they both get reincarnated, and they have to start all over again. And it's because of a curse. And so you get all this backstory in the first book, but I mean, and you don't really know why, but that's part of them trying to break their. And it's one of my favorite series, and the ending is amazing, and all the characters are great, and I would really like it to have a good, solid adaptation because I think it's such a good story.
I'll have to add that to my never-ending TBR list.
Oh my God, my TBR list is, yeah. It's ridiculous. It's just, and then now that I run a bookstore, well, I know. And now that I run a bookstore, every time we get a new author and they have a book I want to read, I'm like, yoink, go onto the pile that I'm not working through fast enough. Is there an adaptation that you've read that you absolutely hated? Because you sound like a purist like me, and there's definitely been some adaptations that I just sit there and look at the screen and go, nope.
See, okay, so my problem is if I am fresh off of reading the book and go and watch the movie, I'll have that reaction of, no, turn it off. This is the worst thing ever. But then if I give it time and like new information replaces the old information, I could go watch the movie and enjoy it. So like I remember watching the original Pet Cemetery and being like, this is awful, and I turned it off. And then later I gave it another shot and was like, okay, this isn't actually as bad as I remember it being. So I've never had something that I will stick with no, this was just a terrible adaptation. So I kind of give it a little leniency because it is a different medium.
Sure. And so like I asked that because I'm reading and working my way through all of the City of Bones series by Cassandra Clare.
Yeah.
The books are some of my absolute favorite. And if I ever met her, I would probably just freak out because I love her books so much. The world building is great. The characters are great. And then you watch the movie and you kind of go, what? That's not what he looks like. That's not what happens. And then I saw they were doing a TV show and I was like, yes, it's a second chance to do it right. And then you look at the cast and kind of go, what? What? Did y'all read the books? So I got about one episode and it's like, yeah, nope, this is, no. So I really wish that would get a faithful adaptation because I just, and I'm not the only person
Yeah.
that feels that way, which is what's so funny. Um, so your book, Leza of the Alpha Line, let's talk about that. Kind of give me a summary of that.
So Leza is a teenage werewolf. She lives on a island protected by magic for supernatural beings. So there are witches, vampires, and shapeshifters there too. And
Okay.
her home has been terrorized by a group that calls themselves the Appointed. And the
Ooh.
Appointed think that they are like trapped on the island, which isn't the case. The Appointed's whole viewpoint is we're like, hey, we're way better than humans. We should go kick their butts and take over the mainland kind of thing. So they
Okay.
have been harassing the communities that live on the island. And an attack happens a little too close for home for Leza. So she decides to take matters into her own hands to stop them and protect her pack in particular, but then everybody else that has been terrorized by the Appointed by proxy.
I love that you have a strong female character. I've been saying lately that my reading has I'm in my villain era of reading where, I want the guy that's going to burn the world to the ground because you guys looked at his woman funny. But I also really appreciate when you have a female character that's like, sit down, I got this. I don't need your help. I'm on this, So I really love that you have a female character that's strong. Because I think we need more of that,
Yeah, and hopefully I did a good job of her practically using the skill set that she has, because something that bothers me within the genre is the, ditzy 15 normal looking year-old girl but is suddenly an expert at knife throwing even though she's had zero training.
Yes, that trope drives me nuts.
Yeah,
Just
so hopefully we do a
we have a
realistic
training montage
job.
here. Let's give it some context of why she knows that.
Right.
No, I totally agree with that. Absolutely. Okay, so since we're talking about tropes, I want to know what the trope is that you love the most, and then I want to know what the trope is that you can't stand when you read it in books.
Oof.
Yeah, I said this was going to be an easy conversation. It's not. I can't launch softballs. I'm sorry.
Oh gosh. I guess a trope that I love is the you had the power all along kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like Dorothy had the power to go home the whole time. She just had to discover her innate ability herself, sort of thing.
Sure.
That's
a good one.
I think a trope I don't like. Oh gosh, it is such a hard question.
Sorry.
I'm trying to figure out how to word this too because I don't know if it's a trope or a theme. I don't like when they try to portray really icky and abusive situations as normal, and this is what you should want. With the big example of that being Edward is a crappy person in Twilight.
Oh God! See, I knew you were going to say Twilight. Yeah,
and Bella puts herself in danger for him, and gives up pieces of herself for him. And they're like, but it's okay because they love each other. And I'm like, that's not okay.
Yes. Now, to be fair, I had not heard anything about Twilight until the movie started getting, released. And I was like, what the hell is Twilight? And then I bought the first book. And I kind of knew going into it, okay, this is going to be just a dumpster fire of a book. I just want to be entertained. I know this is not going to be Pulitzer Prize winning novel, So I went into it knowing that this is going to be garbage. But I really love it. And I know it's crap, but I love it.
I read the crap out of them too, like standing in line when on release days getting them, so like I was there. And there is something to be said that you can definitely write about something without promoting it too.
Sure.
But I think there's I don't know, there's like a line that I feel as an author where I wouldn't want to put something in my book that could be misleading.
I get that.
Like, I have an example of that too from Leza. I had to edit the relationship between Evander and Nikolai's younger sister a little bit because it was coming off as like too flirty. And Evander is like 19, 20 years old, and the little sister is like 14, 15. And
ooh, that's icky.
Exactly. It's icky. And I had to completely like rework their relationship because it was coming off icky. And I didn't want that in my book.
I totally get that. What do you think so like, how did you come up with this idea for the story?
It was an assignment in my English class, actually. We had our vocab words for the week, and my teacher would let us write a little story as long as it encompassed all of the words. And I ended up writing the chapter, essentially, where Leza gets captured. So,
okay.
That whole chapter, I find it funny because, that made it into the book. It was expanded upon, of course. But that is essentially what I had turned into my teacher. And I loved the idea so much, I wanted to put like a beginning and an end onto it. So I just worked from that scene.
I love that. Did you know how you were going to write the whole book out, or was, did you plot that out like a plotter, or did you kind of just make it up as you went along?
So I am a pantster. That is the make it up as you go along writer.
Me too.
And I kind of credit that as to why it took me so long to actually finish it, because it took like a little over a decade for me to do a beginning, middle, and end on it. Okay. So I am trying with my new project. I'm trying out plotting, and we'll see how that goes.
So is Leza of the Alpha Line, is it going to be like a series, or is it just a one-off book?
Right now, it's just a one-off. I have maybe the beginnings of an idea of like a spin-off centered around Andre, maybe.
Okay.
But I am deep in the weeds on another project that I want to get done first, because if you start too many projects, nothing gets finished.
Man, you are not lying. So do you want to talk about the new project, or is it still in the super secret mode?
It's not super secret, but it will have to be talked about in vague terms.
Sure.
It will be another kind of werewolf story. I also had started it when I was in high school. The cool thing about moving as much as I do is you find things you didn't know you had when you're unpacking boxes. And
oh my God,
I found the notebook that I had started writing the story in. And I was looking through it, and I was like, oh, you know what? I like this. I want to develop it. The thing that I don't like is the story. The story is coming off as like more romance, and my problem is that I'm not a romance reader or consumer.
Sure.
So it's hard to write a genre that you're not like actively consuming because you don't know what tropes are in right now and all that good stuff. So I want to like finish it and then maybe make myself read some romance novels and then see what I can edit.
So what's your favorite genre?
I like horror.
Well, you and Lloyd Elmore should talk because he's a huge Stephen King fan. So he would love to talk to you about Stephen King.
Yeah, so I like horror a whole lot, with Stephen King being like my favorite author essentially, and then I also like the fantasy.
Have you read the Court of Thorns and Roses series?
I have not, because I was warned that it gets spicy, and I am not a spicy girl.
It does, but that's not. I will say yes, it does. But the caveat here on that is that yes, it's spicy, but it's more about the character growth of the main female character and finding out. I think, this is just my opinion, but I feel like the running theme through that is people are not what you think they are. And people will surprise you. And the main character, her growth from where she starts to where she ends up, I really liked her journey, and I really like the person, and spoilers, if you haven't read it, stop now. But if the person that she ends up with has one of my favorite tropes in that, yes, he is what everybody considers the bad guy, and he's going to burn the world to the ground if you hurt her. But the part of that trope that I like is that he also, in that for her, trusts. She knows what she's doing. She's an intelligent woman. If this is what you want to do, I have your back. Let's do it. I trust your judgment. I know you can do it, so I'm going to back you up. That I respect you as an adult person, and you're your own person, and you can make decisions. And if this is what you want to do, this is what we're doing, And I really love that you've got a male character who looks at a female character, and the female character isn't, oh no, what are we going to do? She's all, sit down. I got this. This is what we're doing. And the guy goes, yeah. I just think that's awesome.
Yeah, I'll have to tentatively add it to my list, because I was tricked into watching Bridgerton, but the drama was so good that I kept watching it. So
yes. I love Bridgerton.
Nobody told me that it was a spicy series either. They were just like, it was my coworkers at the time. They're like, oh, it's a period piece, Rachel. You're going to love it. And it's about them coming out into society and finding love. So I was like, yeah, I'm down. And episode 2 was a shock to me.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yep. Yeah, that's one of those. It's a great series if you know what you're getting into, but if you're not aware of what's coming, it can kind of be a whoa.
Yes, I will give you that. The drama was too good, so I kept watching. So now I'm like, all caught up.
I love that series takes roles and characters that are traditionally white aristocrats and makes them, and takes people of color and assumes, why couldn't they be in that same role as well? And so I love that the cast is multicultural, and it's one of my favorite parts about the whole series is that it's just different cultures, and I just love it so much. Like season 2 really got into a lot of that, and I just, it was awesome. Again, that one's spicy too.
Yes, it is.
What do you think about the Harry Potter genre?
So I grew up with Harry Potter.
Me too.
Consumed the books and the movies as they were coming out and stuff.
Sure.
So I think that it is a wonderful like world of escapism. And
Sure.
I've got like, Harry Potter tattoo, so can't really get away from it.
Hard same. I think it's so funny that tattoos are part of the norm now, but so many of the people that I know have tattoos that are from books or movies. Like there's this whole resurgence of tattooing things that give you joy and remind you of things that gave you joy.
All but one of mine is a pop culture reference.
I love that.
My newest one was my first and ever impulse tattoo. All my other ones have been carefully thought out. My new one came from a Renaissance fair. They were doing like hand tattooing, and I was like, well, I've got to get one.
I mean, right? I love that. What is it? What's it of?
It's some sort of like Celtic symbol. This is awful. I don't even know what it is, but it gives me Lord of the Rings vibes, like the crystal necklace thing that elves wear. It gives me that kind of vibe.
Oh, I love that.
But
okay.
I don't know what it is officially.
One of the other things that I really like too is the whole dystopian trope, but I think that we're kind of winding our way out of it because, like, the Hunger Games, Divergent, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Oh God, Divergent made me so mad. That whole series, the ending of that series made me throw the book across the room. I was so mad that she spent all this time building this just to have it end like that. I was just like, okay, we're done. But then you've got stuff like the Hunger Games, which I think is amazing. Just amazing. And I actually think they did a really good job with the movies.
Well, they're coming out with a book centered around Hamish's games, right?
Yeah, I cannot wait. They were talking about that last night, about Kiefer Sutherland playing Snow.
Ooh.
It's like, because Donald Sutherland is his dad who plays Snow as an older man. And in real life, Kiefer Sutherland is Donald Sutherland's son. And it was one of those, let's do that. Absolutely. Anything Kiefer Sutherland is in, I will go watch. Donald Sutherland is the same. But, you talk about like looking, absolutely. Do it. Make him Snow in Hamish's game. I will be there opening day. That would be really cool. Because I love Hamish. God, I love Hamish.
And then I also find it funny that like a couple months after the book releases, they're already like, and we got the movie.
Yeah, because that is planned while the writer is writing the book. There have been a couple books that I've read, and it's just like, you wrote this just to make the movie because this is not as good as the first book, So what other kind of books? Is there any other books that you really, really like? Like what kind of, is there something that like, that is a book on my shelf always and forever and you will pry it from my cold dead hands?
Let me go look at my bookshelf, actually.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at mine while we're talking.
Let's see. Man, you know what? The True Blood books. I absolutely devoured.
Yes, I read all of them.
So I started reading them the summer that the last book released.
Sure.
Because that is the only one that doesn't match the rest of the series, and I think it's okay because that was the summer that I read them, and that's my justification. So all the other ones are the paperback original covers, not the show covers. Sure. Right. But then that last one is a hardback, and I'm like, it's okay because it signifies the summer I read them. Because otherwise, I have to have the whole series match, and that would bother me.
Too.
But
I am so glad
I
I'm
made a
not the only one that
justification.
feels that way. I asked my mom for my birthday to buy me a book that I already had because it was the only book in the series that didn't match the rest of them. And so I now have a matching set. And I took the one that didn't match and I sold it because I was like,
Yeah.
no. I need it to match or else it's going to, when I look at my bookshelf, it's going to make me insane.
If we ever get the Winds of Winter, which who knows, the Game of Thrones,
Right?
I'm going to be in trouble because I have a really fancy box set of all the other ones. That's kind of
Nice.
funny. They look like Bibles, and somebody on a plane once asked me if I was reading the Bible, and I had to go like, "Oh no, it's Game of Thrones." But there's no way that's going to match. So I'm going to have to figure out either a justification in my head or rebuy all those other books in a normal format or whatever eventually comes out.
That's so funny that you mentioned that because, he's not the only author to have written this massive, massive series. And then the last book is just hanging out there unfinished. And you just want to go, no, but finish the series. Like LJ Smith has done that. She's the one who wrote The Vampire Diaries, which is also, I realize it's problematic, but I don't care. But she also wrote this series called the Strange Fate series, and it's 9 books. And all of them are like, it's called the Night World series is what it is.
Yes.
And I have been waiting for 20 years for her to come out with Strange Fate to finish the freaking series. And I swear to God, if I die and you haven't put that book out, I'm gonna be bereft.
Oh, so I hate to say this, and then the internet told me this, and the internet has been wrong on the occasion, but I remember reading that one of her children got really sick, and that's why she stopped writing. Yeah.
No. See, now I feel like a jerk.
No, it's okay because I was the same way. I absolutely love the Night World series, and there's just one more book that needed to come out, and I was so mad. I was like, when is this going to come out? So I was Googling up a storm, and that's when I saw that. But again, the internet has lied to me before, so.
Sure. So, talking about tattoos and pop culture, I want to go back to that. So, Maggie Stiefvater. I have a very good friend, Krista, who is on, her episode was last week. So she and I talked about Maggie Stiefvater, and it's so funny because we met at a Maggie Stiefvater signing. That's how we met, was at Parnassus Books. And so we were both she's young enough to be my daughter, but we have become very, very good friends, right? So we decided that we wanted to get friend tattoos together. So my series that I started with Maggie Stiefvater was the Shiver series. That's the Timberwolf series about the wolves. And then Krista started with the Raven Boy series, right? And so we really wanted to get tattoos that represented how we met and that kind of stuff. So I found the artwork that Maggie Stiefvater has drawn for both of those series. Maggie, don't come for me. I'm really sorry, but we loved your artwork. So I have the wolf that she drew tattooed on my left shoulder. And Krista has got the raven that she drew on her left bicep. And I totally love that some of the authors that I love have contributed artwork to their books, and that, they're out there, and then you've got, dorks like me who are like, oh, I'm going to tattoo that image on my body. I bet that's weird for people.
Oh, I would love it if for somehow any of my books ever got that popular. I would be so stoked to see that,
right?
Or to see how the community could interpret the themes and stuff, because sometimes I feel like you can have the most detailed paragraph written down, but like I'm gonna see it one way and somebody else is gonna see it another way. So I think it's really cool when stuff like that happens.
Well, and so like I am working on a tattoo that I'm going to combine my love of dragons with my love of the poem Invictus. Have you ever read that poem? It's the one, oh gosh, who writes that? I always forget who writes that, but it's like my favorite poem. And my husband, for either a Christmas present or an anniversary, one year had it calligraphied onto beautiful paper for me, and it's framed, hanging up in our room, and it's by oh gosh, what is that guy's name? I'm looking it up right now. William Henley. Let's see. William Henley. And the last two lines are, "I'm the master of." Yeah, it's William Ernest Henley is who wrote it. And the last two lines are, "I'm the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul." And the first time I ever heard that poem was in the movie Invictus with Morgan Freeman, where he played, what's the guy in Africa who was elected president after like 17 years in prison? Yes, he played Nelson Mandela. And so they did a movie about this period where Nelson Mandela was elected, and he decided to get the football team, who was like the symbol for apartheid, right? But he got the captain of the football team and said, "Let's do this together. Let's have you win this series for Africa. Let's partner together to show that we can, like, bridge the gap and mend fences and try and start a new country." You know what I mean? And so he reads the poem, and I remember listening to that and being just thunderstruck at how beautiful that poem was. And so I'm working on getting a tattoo made with my dragon and that line of a quote written out somewhere, because it's just one of those. And I say all of that to say that sometimes you read a book or you read a line in a book that once you read it, you have to sit down and just stop reading and think about it, because it just alters everything in your body when you read it, because you're just, oh my God. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, I totally get you. I have "Oh Captain, My Captain" tattooed on my calf from Dead Poets Society.
That one is a good one too. Oh my God, that's a good one. See, goosebumps. That's one of my favorites. Robin Williams reading that poem. Every time I see it, it's just like, oh God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things that I love about reading the most is it's an unexpected journey when you're reading, that you don't know what you're getting into sometimes. And so you'll read something like, "Oh Captain, My Captain," or, "I'm the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul." And it just hits you in a certain way that you just kind of have to sit there and think, I don't know how to go on with my life now.
Yeah.
Because that was so powerful.
Yeah, I also have "It's Only Forever" from Labyrinth.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, The Labyrinth. My friend Jessica and I grew up watching that movie, and I look back at that and I look at David Bowie, and I remember being like 11 or 12 thinking, I really want that. I don't know what I want to do with that, but I want the Goblin King. I want one.
Oh, I wanted to marry the Goblin King at 4, so I gotcha.
Yes. I would have been right there. So that's so funny that you say that. That's really funny. See, I love that you mentioned that, and I know that's going to come up when I interview Jess. I'm trying to get her onto the podcast because it'll just be. She's been my best friend since I was 10, and the two of us together, when it is ridiculous. So it's. I hear how annoying we are together, but that's what you get when you have 35 years of friendship, you know?
Yeah, that's that best friend energy.
Oh, absolutely. If you could cast Leza of the Alpha Line as a movie, who would you cast as your characters?
Oh my! Oh goodness! Wow!
You're welcome.
Oh yeah! I'm gonna have to like Google. I've suddenly forgotten every actor I've ever seen. I feel like Uncle has to be like a Henry Cavill-esque person.
Yeah. Okay, I'm already into it. Let's do that. Henry Cavill's my dude. Yep.
If not
Let's
Henry
have it.
Cavill, like the vibe at a minimum.
Sure.
Also, again, like the vibe of like Tilda Swinton for Bramble, even though Bramble is only in the book for a couple of pages, they're my favorite character that I made.
Sure.
Sorry, Leza. Actually, before that, Evander is my favorite. He's so sassy. I love him. But then when I thought up of Bramble, I was like, you are chaotic. You are now my favorite.
Right.
Oh, goodness. Who? I can see her, but I don't know the actress's name. Dang it. The one that did Lisa Frankenstein, the blonde.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I feel like she could be Leza.
Is like a female version of Dean. And I thought she was superb. I really did. I'm looking her up now. Hang on one second. Oh gosh, what was her name? I can see her face. So I know.
Yeah, same.
I know exactly who you're talking about. It's going to drive me crazy too now that I can't. Catherine Newton.
Okay.
Yes, I can absolutely see Catherine Newton as being Leza for sure.
And then for Nikolai, let's see here. I have Googled young male actors. For Nikolai, I could. All right, just going back to Lisa Frankenstein. I could go with like either of the Sprouse brothers, probably.
Oh yeah, Dylan Sprouse. Ooh.
You know what? Even though the internet is a little mad at him for taking over The Witcher, I think even a Liam Hemsworth could be my Nikolai.
Okay, so since you brought that up, okay, I love Liam Hemsworth. I really do. However, because he's following Henry Cavill, who, if anybody has listened to me or knows me and Henry Cavill, we are soulmates for life. He doesn't know that, but we are. Like, that is my dude. That is my man. If he's in a movie, I don't care what's it about, I will go watch it. I feel like the meme of, Liam Hemsworth being the Wish, or the Goodwill version of The Witcher. Because no offense, Liam Hemsworth, but how are you going to go to Henry Cavill and then go to Liam Hemsworth? I'm sorry, is not the same. It's not the same. But on the other side, you look at Liam Hemsworth in the Hunger Games, and it's like, yeah, okay, I'm on board with that. So maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think that the problem, and this is not a dig on Mr. Liam at all, I think the problem is that Henry Cavill did like the most superb job with being Geralt. Mm-hmm. It's hard for us to even fathom anybody else doing it.
Yes. Yep. For sure. Absolutely. Yep. No. I agree with that 100%. Well, Rachel, I think that we're about out of time. I really, really appreciate that you kind of hung out with me today, and I really enjoyed talking with you. And I cannot wait to actually meet you, and sit down and have a conversation more than like 5 minutes, because I know that I met you very briefly and then you were out of town. So
I know. Then next time I come in, I'll have to pencil in a day.
Yes, we would love that, because did you guys know, for all of you guys that have been listening, you know that we have a GoFundMe raised, going on right now. And our GoFundMe, as of last night, let me pull up our figures, because I think that as of last night when I looked at it, we were at, let me sign in and I can tell y'all, because we did Simply Smyrna last night here in Smyrna, which is a whole big event. And so we raised money yesterday along with selling a bunch of local author stuff, which I was really, really excited about. And we raised a whole bunch of money on our GoFundMe for the sign, because we had enough, for some reason not letting me look it up, and that's fine. But I think last time I looked, we're at $2,300. So that money so far is going to cover the first and last month's rent of the new space that we just signed a lease on, which I'm so excited. Plus, if we hit our $3,000 goal, which we're about $700 away from, we will have enough money to cover our sign as well. So I'm so stoked, and I can't wait for you to come so that you can see our new space. It's going to be amazing.
Yes. And then also for the listeners who don't know, I'm a military spouse living overseas. It's not that I'm just outrageously busy.
No.
I can't come to Smyrna.
Well, we definitely appreciate your husband's sacrifice and your sacrifice. I mean, we definitely, I'm a military kid myself. So I definitely appreciate it. Please tell him thank you for his service, and thank you for your service too, because being a military spouse is not easy. So,
well, thank you for your support is what I've heard him tell people. So that is my go-to.
Yay. Well, thank you so much, Rachel. We really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you and hanging out when you get back into the country. And thank you for hanging out with us today. And for our listeners, don't forget to donate to our GoFundMe and watch out for our grand opening. And thank you so much for listening, and happy reading. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.